Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Builder's Blueprint podcast. I'm so glad that you are here. Happy New Year. We are well into 2026. I think it'll be 10 or 11 days by the time that you hear this. So I hope that you had a really nice New Year's and it's just been a smooth, that's not a really cool word, but just like a nice intro into the year. Highlight of my week was definitely going to the tennis. So in the last episode, I talked about how it's really important to make the most of the new year and having something to look forward to. Otherwise, it just feels like the year already gets away from you. So going to the tennis is always my thing that I look forward to in January. I love the tennis. I played a lot of different sports growing up, but I did play a lot of tennis. And I loved tennis. And yeah, so I went with my mum and my sister and one of my friends, and then they each brought one of their friends. So it was so fun, such a good vibe. To be fair, going to the tennis is probably less about watching the actual game and just it's more the atmosphere. Unless you have courtside tickets where you can really see the ball. It's more just you go for the vibe, go for the atmosphere. It's a whole lot of fun. You just chat and obviously, and then watch some really great tennis as well. But it is, yeah. And then just the whole night is just so fun. So that was definitely the highlight of my week. Let me know the highlight of your week in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. Plus, we have a new angle, so let me know what you think about this angle. I think I'm going to stick with this one. I do like the closer up. It does feel like we're talking across the table from each other. And I can also see the time, how long I've been yapping on for with this setup. So I think we're going to do this. Yes, but otherwise, if you are listening to this on audio, make sure you are following wherever you get your podcast. And make sure you leave a comment about the highlight of your week in the comment section. But yes, that is pretty much all that's been going on apart from, getting back into the swing of things. So nothing super exciting to report yet, but the focus for this episode is going to be, I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the predictions for 2026 that I think we might see in the personal development, self-help, health and well-being space. Now, I am by no means a person who makes predictions. I don't know what their job is called, or a statistician or anything like that. This is just based on a bit of my own research, but also just what I'm seeing on social media, what I'm seeing in the industry, the conversations I'm having with my friends, all of that kind of stuff combined. And it was funny, but not funny. It was interesting that a few of the predictions that I put down in my notes app when I was thinking about this episode, and then I went to do some research, I was like, oh, they're the same things that I put down in my notes app. So that was kind of interesting, and makes me think that, yeah, some of these things we will really start to see in this space over the next 12 months. And then I thought I would talk about some of the things that are on my vision board, because I am super excited. I just love the new year. I just love the fresh start. I love the planning. I love the clarity. I love the direction. I love all of that, which you can have any time of the year. But I just love how in the new year, it's just so everyone's doing it. And so it just feels a lot more motivating. So yes, so 2026 predictions. So I've got 5, I think, or 6. And yeah, we'll just let me know what you think. So first trend prediction that I think that we are going to see is we're going to see a shift away from online consumption, and we're going to see this chase towards real forms of dopamine. So I think we're going to see a lot more interest and people taking up forms of slow burn, genuine connections and forms of dopamine. And this was a really interesting thing that, so Pinterest every year does a trend prediction on fashion, lifestyle, beauty, that kind of stuff. And one of the trends that they said that we can expect to see in 2026 is a writing renaissance, which I thought was so interesting, that pen pal trends and writing letters is up on Pinterest by 90%, which is quite high for this type of trend. So I think we're going to see like a lot more people desiring a lot more in real life connections, a lot more social interactions, a lot more just getting out and meeting people. I think we're also going to start to see even more, like you can already start to see it, but like I think we'll just see it progressively increase, is this mindful technology use and like online consumption. I think there'll be people being more intentional with the way that they consume media, and so they use social media, the way that we consume just like general media, like news and like online forums and things like that, and just even the way that we use our phone and technology and like the rise of AI. I think we're going to start to see a real shift in the way that people use it. I don't think we're going to necessarily use it like less, in the sense that like we're going to go completely back to pen and paper, but I think there will be a desire for more of that slow, genuine connection, and forms of dopamine, like reading and writing and being like playing board games and like doing things in real life. So I think will be really nice, because I think in the wake of COVID, we just saw like a surge of overconsumption of social media and technology. And, it served us at the time, but I think people are starting to realize that it doesn't serve them any longer. And so there's now this shift away from technology and social media to more genuine forms of dopamine and more lasting forms of dopamine. I also think we're going to see this across the board in like the fashion and beauty industry with overconsumption. We're going to just see a lot more mindful use of things, and and this kind of ties into the next prediction I think we're going to see, which is optimism, which I'll get to in a second. But I think there's going to be a trend towards looking for the way that things serve us, not just for like the quantity of things or just like because it's flashy and trendy. I think that people are going to start to look for more meaning in things, even in the things that they buy, and then the way that they use things that they buy. I think we'll start to see, a real, I feel like I've said meaningfulness already like 15 times. So, but meaningful is the word. So yes, I think there will be a chase towards real dopamine in 2026. The second thing is optimism. Now, I don't know whether this is like reflective of like worldwide or it's just Australia, but like I don't necessarily think that as Australians we're like super pessimistic. I guess it depends the circles that you hang out in. But I think that because we live in a country where we have a lot of sun, we have really great access to outdoors, and we live quite like outdoorsy lives compared to like other places in the world. I think naturally, like, and we like have long days and like lots of sunlight. I think we naturally are more optimistic in that sense. However, I think that we will start to see more of a trend and a focus on this. And the little like subsection like dot point that I had under this was using the expensive china, because I think we're going to start to see people really not waiting to enjoy things, or like not waiting for like a special occasion or something really big to use like the nice things that they have, or enjoy the things that they have. I think we're going to start to see like people being more present in the moment and really making the most and enjoying those moments for what they are, rather than waiting for like a big occasion. And so that's why I felt like using the expensive china was just like the right way to describe it, because like you would only ever use the expensive china if it was like a special occasion. To be fair, my grandma did this really well. Like she would actually bring it out for our like family dinners on like a Friday or a Saturday night when we were kids. And so she was actually really good at using her expensive glassware and chinaware. But I know like a lot of people that don't. And I know like even for myself, especially with perfumes, I won't use like a really expensive perfume unless it's a like really special occasion, which is kind of silly because you need to use it often enough, because after a while like perfumes like will kind of go off or like lose their certain notes. So I'm like, I really need to use my expensive things more often. But I think that anyway, like the trend will be that we'll start to see more people not waiting to enjoy things, but actually just being present in the moment and enjoying the things that they have in the present. Because I think there'll be a greater realization that, we only have one go around this merry-go-round, and so we need to make the most of it, and making the most of it is doing things that we enjoy in the moment. So yes, I think optimism will be a trend that we will see more and more of in 2026. The next thing I think we're going to see is personalization. I think the one size fits all approach is pretty much completely gone. I think particularly with the rise of AI and the way that AI can allow us to make things even more personalized, I think we're going to see more and more of a personalized approach. I think we're going to see this in business. I think we're going to see this in the way that in like social media, like content creators. I think we're going to see it in health. We're going to see it in wellness. We're going to see it in personal development, self-help, literally across the board. I think we're going to see people are going to focus less on what everyone else is doing and like what the overall approach is, and they're going to focus on what works for them personally. I think that we're also going to see less experimental forms of what's the word, like people are going to probably experiment less, like, and I'm talking probably more in terms of like personal development, health and wellness here, where they're not just going to like be like, oh, like this is supposed to be good for everyone, so let me try it. Like it'll be less trendy and more like what actually works for them personally. Like I don't think we'll see as much of just fads. Well, there will be the same number of fads, like that's inevitable, but I think people will kind of gravitate towards what they know and what works for them personally in their lifestyle and their stage of life, rather than just like trying all these different things. And like I think in the same breath, and that companies, and particularly in like personal development, health and wellness, are going to see this and go, oh, like how can we personalize? There'll be more like personalized packages for different things to make sure that the services that we're using to optimize our health are not just one size fits all. I really think that we're going to see the last kind of move away from that, because we just know that that doesn't work. So I think, yes, personalization will be a big in this year. Lifelong development is the next trend that I think we'll see continue to pick up in 2026. I know that I've already started to really see this, particularly with those apps that give you like a snapshot of the book. And so you can like micro learning apps. I think we're going to really see a big push in the personal development, self-help world of these micro learning trends. I think though that we're also, but in the context of lifelong learning, it's not going to be like a micro learning as a quick fix or like quick surge of dopamine. It's going to be this focus on like, how can we gain as much knowledge like for our continuous lifelong learning? Like it's not going to be just like I know I've read one book in finance, or like read one snapshot of a book of finance, so I know it all. It's like, oh, like how can I micro learn all these little things to put together a big picture, which allows me to like continuously learn and develop and invest in myself. And I think we're going to see more of a focus on mastery of skills. So rather than knowing everything and knowing like that jack of all trades but master of none, I think we're going to kind of see a flip of the flip side of that, where we're going to see people mastering certain skills rather than just trying to be a jack of all trades, which I think is really cool, because I think there is so much value in the way in learning something and becoming really good at it, and going from like not knowing much or like being really terrible at something to knowing a lot about something. So I think that is a trend that we're going to see in 2026. I think we're also going to be like trending towards slow productivity. I think the age of burnout is completely dying, and we're going to see more realistic goal setting. We're going to see more like small steps and like consistency and discipline every day towards goals. And like that's slow build over time rather than like quick, fast results. I think there's going to be like the ability to produce results, quality results over a long period of time will start to be like highly regarded, and we'll see more people taking small steps every day towards big goals, which I think is really, really cool. I think it's also a much more sustainable way to build your goals and to build your life, because we've seen and we know that quick fix and like a quick up leads to a quick down, leads to burnout. So, and that's not sustainable or good for anyone. So I think that this shift towards lifelong development and slow productivity and mastery of skills is going to be definitely a turn for the positive. Okay, next thing is genuine well-being. So I think that there'll be a focus on genuine well-being across the board. So we're not just going to focus on mental. I think there'll be a focus beyond mental well-being and physical well-being, and it will be across all areas of people's lives, like their career, their relationships, the way that they use their time, and then of course including, you know, your emotional and physical well-being as well. I think people are also going to move away from a specific aesthetic of well-being, and I think we're going to move towards a more genuine balance of finding what works for you, or like people are going to move towards what works for them rather than just a specific aesthetic. I think also science-backed wellness is going to become a big focus and push in 2026, which I think we've needed for a long time, but you know, we had to go through the whole cycle before we got to this point. I think science-backed techniques and habits such as strength training, circadian rhythm habits, sleep optimization routines, hydration practices, breath work, nutrition, all of these things, but will become bigger and bigger, but only the ones that are backed by clinical research. I think they will be the ones that will surge the most, and the ones that are more anecdotal or have less research behind them probably won't do as well. And I mean, as someone who is super into all of this, and then I also work in this industry, I think that I have already done this for a while, but I can see how the industry is starting to shift towards this, because there was just such a surge over the last 5 to 10 years of different opinions and different technologies and different things that could give people supposedly what they wanted. But then we also concurrently had this surge of like fast results, quick results, that it just, there was a complete mismatch. And so now people are like, we don't want that. We want things that are real and actually going to work. And it doesn't matter if it takes, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. The goal is to just continuously work towards something rather than just give me results on the spot. So I think we're going to see more of that. Whoops have gone insane. I have a Whoop and I love my Whoop, and this is in no way, shape or form sponsored, but I think we're going to see more things like Whoop start to appear in 2026 and beyond. Just to fully plug Whoop without any return of my plug, but it has really helped me improve my sleep. It has given me a lot of data that I can use and it's really practical, and it's really helped me shift habits towards improving my sleep. And I'm obviously like, it's obviously right, because my sleep has gotten so much better, and I'm able to like optimize my day so much more because my sleep is so much better. And like, Whoop has so many different other like, what's the word? Features that you can use, but definitely would highly regard the sleep function. Very, very good. I also, another thing about the genuine well-being I think we're going to see is, and this is from Vogue, and I was like, I can already kind of see it happening. We're going to look for ways to continue our fitness and health routines while we're traveling, and how we can incorporate physical activity into our travel. And we can kind of already see this with people traveling for Hyroxes, marathons, like other like events, triathlons, even like tennis a little bit. In, what is it, Costa Rica, there's like a really big tennis thing that people go to, activity thing that people go to. Anyway, but I think we're going to start to see more Vogue thinks that we're going to see more people traveling for physical activity, but also while they are traveling, looking for ways like run clubs, fitness clubs, ways to be physically active while they're on holidays, because I think the whole concept of physical activity and health and wellness being a lifestyle is going to be like seriously integrated into like every aspect of people's lives, which I honestly could not like be more happy about as someone who works in the industry, and just seeing the way that our sedentary behavior and our like our health risk behaviors are hurting our bodies and hurting our lifestyles, the way that physical activity is going to become a way of life, I think is really cool. And I think that I always say to people that I work with that physical activity is one of those things that you have to invest in, never knowing the alternative outcome. Like, the fact that you are exercising and being active, you'll never know where you could have ended up, like what pain, what chronic conditions, what other injuries you could have experienced. Like, you'll never know, but you just have to trust that being active is far better than being inactive. So I think we're going to see more of that mindset shift. Another thing, I've got 2 more things for trend predictions. The next one is emotional intelligence. I think there's going to be an absolute surge in emotional intelligence and a focus on emotional intelligence, which I think, is great. I think it's going to be seen as a character superpower, in a sense. Like, it's going to be highly regarded, people that are emotionally intelligent. I think that we'll see an increase in like nervous system training, and the way that impacts our focus, our recovery and reflection. I think we'll see more breath work, more mind to body connection practices, more cold exposure therapies coming through. I think that emotional intelligence is going to be a measure of like energy and mental clarity, not just output. So not just your ability to do things or get things done, but it's your ability to be like, have a clear state of mind when you're doing things, and like bring certain energy to certain tasks. I think will also continue to increase in 2026. Along with that, I think we're going to continue to see that, I think it's dropped. Well, I don't know. This is one that I'm like, just based on like the conversations that I've had and like what I've seen on social media, I think journaling and feedback loops kind of went through a bit of a lull the last couple of years, but I think that will kind of pick up again, and we'll see more focus on that. And then the last one is vulnerability. I think that there will be a shift towards conversations which are focused on what I'm learning rather than what I've learnt. I think there's going to be a shift towards open and honesty, where people are like uncovering where they're actually at, and not just where they want people to think that they're at. I think that people are going to start talking about how they're getting there, not just where they want to go. I also think that there'll be a lot more realism in content creation and health, personal development stories, and health and well-being. We'll see more realistic stories coming through, which will be really nice. We can already start to see some of that now in social media, but I think in the personal development and self-help world, that will become really prominent in 2026. I also think asking for help is going to become super trendy in 2026. I think that we can already start to see this again in social media and even in the podcasting world, you really start to hear it. But I think, yes, 2026 is going to be the year where asking for help is super trendy, which, I mean, who couldn't be more excited than being able to ask for help without like feeling bad about that? So I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, they're my trend predictions for 2026. I'm going to like put a reminder in my calendar for the end of 2026 to like re-listen to this, and we can maybe debrief what actually happened and whether you guys did any of these, whether you're a part of any of these trends, whether you saw any of these trends, whether you feel like it was wrong. We'll see. We've got 12 months to figure it out. Okay. The next thing I want to quickly touch on before we wrap up the episode is a few things that are on my vision board for 2026. I have an IG post coming out about this, but I was like, I'm going to mention it in the podcast as well. So first thing, also this is not everything. I'm slightly superstitious. So this is just a few things that are on my vision board. But I would also love to know some of the things, if you did a vision board, what is on your vision board, or if you didn't do a vision board, what you would have put on it if you were to do one. And yeah, I think I love hearing about people's goals and like where they're working towards. I think it's very cool. I could talk about it for ages. Anyway, let's get going. So reducing online consumption. This is like a big one for me. My kind of motto is offline is the new luxury. So being able to spend time offline, like this morning, I've actually deleted my social media for the next 75 days. And this morning I just like potted around my house, and like that's probably time that I would have spent scrolling on my phone. So, and I just got all these random little things done that like you never really get done, but it was just because I wasn't distracted by scrolling. So that's my goal, is to really reduce my online consumption and be really mindful with the social media, particularly because that is my downfall of content that I'm consuming. So yes, I've started 75 Hard again, which I'll talk about in the next episode because I'm only a couple of days in, but I'll talk about next episode where I'm like in 75 Hard, and rather than really doing a strict diet, I'm going to do like no social media for 75, or no personal social media for 75 days, which already I'm loving it. But yes, I'll talk more about that in the next episode. Next thing on my vision board is improving my recovery. So this comes back to my Whoop. My Whoop score for my heart rate, my recovery, is always quite low. Like no matter what I do, unless I absolutely do nothing that day and then like wake up the next day, that's the only time that my recovery goes up, which is a little bit concerning. And so that's my goal this year, is to work on my recovery, particularly my heart rate variability, which is one of the other measures that Whoop takes into account for your recovery score. And heart rate variability is the body's ability to recover after the heart rate's gone up. So after you train or after you exercise in some way. And for some reason mine is super low, like it's in the mid 30s, when like my age and like my like level of activity should be like high 80s. So there's definitely a disconnect there. So that is what I am working on this year, is trying to increase my heart rate variability, but also improve my recovery overall, because I think it'll just allow me to train better and perform better when I am recovered, obviously. Next thing is routine quality. So rather than having lots of routines, I want to have good quality routines. So not having 10 different steps to a routine, but rather having a few things that I stick to and I do really well and I do consistently and I know that work for me. I think is my goal for 2026, rather than just having like a morning routine, a night routine, a monthly reset routine, this routine or that routine, but rather having a few things in the morning that I do that I know are going to really set me up for my day. Likewise, a few things at night that are going to really help me have a good sleep. Doing a few things each month which I know are going to really help me align for the month and like get prepared for the month and make the most of the month, things like that. Because I am one for like being all or nothing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, let's do all the routines this weekend, and then I'm exhausted and then I don't do any of them for the next month. And the last one is reading and being more intentional with my rest time and connecting, like time, like when I don't have things on. So yes, want to spend more time just like reading lazily or like casually. I think it's just like, I remember as a child, I would love like spending the morning, like I wake up and then I just read for like an hour, like loved doing that. And I miss that so much, miss like having the attention span to just do that. Also likewise, like in the afternoon where it's like you've had like a day where you've been out or like been doing things, and you just get home and then you just like lay in your bed and read. Love. Used to love that feeling. So kind of like chasing that this year. I want to just like spend time reading and like losing track of time a little bit. But also, using the time where I'm resting or like not doing things or not committed to things intentionally. So whether that's spending quality time with my friends, just doing nothing as well, like I did this morning, just like pottering around kind of with no like things to tick off. It's just like, let me just use this time to spend around the house. I just want to have more quality over quantity when it comes to all these things. I'd rather do, I think for me this year is doing a lot less, but doing it well, rather than just being all over the place, which was a little bit of me last year if you were kind of around. So anyway, they're my trend predictions for 2026 and what is on my vision board. As I said, we'd love to know what you think about this and what is on your vision board. So let me know. And that is it for today's episode. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. Remember, there is no limit when it comes to building your life, and building a life that you love and that you are proud of. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.